Hi guys, welcome to the Darkness channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. Do not forget me. I will come back, my soul will haunt them and drag each one of them to hell. They wrapped me, stabbed me, and then buried me alive. They thought that this will be the end, but little do they know that death only made me stronger than before. I will come back for them. I will haunt them and drag them to the hell fire. The cold moonless night justified the absolute obscurity outside, while the frigid atmosphere promoted breathing difficulty. Thick darkness dwindled fast upon the land. According to myth, midnight is the moment where the most obscure creatures got out of their graves to set terror on earth. Only the fearless human beings would roam out during this time. Professor David was one of those men. The professor lived in a small house which situated just a few miles away from the cemetery. Every night, when the ultimate darkness settles, the irresistible calling of the graveyard forced him to leave his comfortable bed. He was the only person who could deliver the dead from their torments and grant them salvation. Yes, you're right. Professor David was not an ordinary man. He was unique in that since his birth. Standing in the middle on the burial ground, Professor David felt a shudder. He realized the sensitivity as he went through it, particularly every night. It was a delightful shiver that traveled down his spinal column and chilled his body. David smiled, bit the corner of his lips, and slightly lifted his eyebrows. He knew what was behind him. He knew that the creature at his back was not mortal. Yes, it did not intimidate him at all. Professor David turned gradually to spot the mystical creature. She appeared in a distortion of light. A young girl made her apparition, who might be like 16 years old her. She stood there with her barely visible body and fixed the professor. Too weird to be human, her chocolate cherry hair covered fractions of her face, letting only her nose and lips visible. Her cold crimson eyes brightened even more than the headlight of a car through her hair. Her forehead stained with blood. She disappeared into the thin air and reappeared face to face with Professor David. The young girl wide opened her mouth and pushed a piercing scream which rhymed with the breeze. Yes, she was a ghost. "Hello, Professor," she hissed. "Hello, Elena. I have excellent news for you. You will eventually be able to leave this mortal realm eternally," announced the professor. Mr. David took out a newspaper from his coat and read, "Found guilty and arrested for the accident of Elena Lewis. 3 years ago, Elena died in a car accident when she was on her way back home from a party with her friends. Her best friend Sarah was driving her home when a drunk driver lost control of his wheel and hit Sarah's car. Elena died on the spot while Sarah plunged into a coma. Since then, her spirit became reckless for revenge. She was too young to die." Not all deceased persons got the chance to stay in the human world to take care of their unfinished businesses. Only the chosen one of Nyx, or the goddess of night, had such an ability. Those chosen souls would never leave until their culprits pay for their deeds. If staying too long into the human realm, then ghosts lost all of their humanity. Because of their revengeful and merciless nature, Thanatos, or the god of death, restrained them from stepping outside their intimate area. To safeguard the equity of nature, Gaia, or the goddess of the earth, created ghost whisperers. Ghost whisperers are human beings, but just like half-gods, they are endowed with some given powers of Mother Earth. They can talk, see, and control ghosts. However, just like maintaining the balance of nature, ghost whisperers can likewise damage the equilibrium of the earth. Not everybody is graceful and abide by the rule. Talking, seeing, and controlling the death are not their only ability. They can also set free the souls to roam out amongst human beings. They can make ghosts visible to mortal or exploit their power for personal gains. Never did Professor David went against the goddess of the earth, because he knew that ghosts are unpredictable and that there are always repercussions if ever one of those ghosts hurts an innocent. Hades, or the underworld god, would grant them a special place in hell for misusing their powers. "Thank you, Professor," he smiled. Again, with a glow of light, she disappeared, without leaving so much then, just a foot imprint in the soil. She flew into a world which was waiting for her, in a realm in which she belonged for years. Finally, her spirit could rest in peace. Professor David smiled, feeling proud of his triumph. He turned back his holy black boots and made his way home, where his lovely daughter Lisa must wait for him. Point of view, Lisa. The sun rose like a blossom opening, gifting its petals unto the world. It frustrated me that my father did not show up yet. What was more infuriated was that he never gives me reason for his absence at night. Whenever I summoned him, he lied by telling me that he was with a ghost, as if such a thing exists. Since my mother's death, I become lonely. Nobody spends time with me anymore. Standing in the living room, I curled my fingers around my poker straight long black hair and gazed at the clock. Since 4 August 2016, my mother's cremation date, it became my routine to wait for my father. Wait. Sound easy, right? Full nonsense. Waiting is the most monotonous thing ever exist. I felt like a buffoon to worry for him every day. But feelings are uncontrollable, right? I kept on making the round of my sofa when the door flung opened, making my heart pitter-patter. He came back home. Where were you this time? I asked sharply. Oh, good morning, darling, with ghosts, he said. Anger boiled my blood like hot magma. He made fun of my uneasiness. This pressure of fury would compel me to say words that I would not mean. Remaining there for one more second would explode my nerves with rage. I gave him a black glance, turning my back, and slapped the front door in his face. There was not even a goodbye kiss. I heard my dad screaming behind me, but I was awfully vexed to respond. After 20 minutes of walking, I reached college. I was still in a dreadful frame of mind. All of a sudden, I overheard someone scream my name. It was a voice that I could never get tired of hearing. The tone was low with a mild version of huskiness, and with a bit of higher prestige than the thinner body would suggest. It was Troy, my boyfriend. Hello, love. He greeted me with a tender kiss on my lips. Hi, I simply answered. Is my baby girl all right? He asked amusingly. No, I grumbled back. Let me fix this for you. He blinked at me. How? I asked. Let's meet tonight for a party at my place. I will make sure that you get the most unforgettable night ever, he stated with a flirtatious smirk. His proposal exceedingly tempted me. But before saying yes, I thought about how mad father would be if I approved Troy's offer. For an adolescent who would turn 17 years old in just 1 week, never did my strict father let me attend any party at night. Even though he is an absent father, my safety had always been on his top list. I was on the verge to turn down Troy's proposition when I get a recollection about what took place this morning. Revenge is a dish best served cold. Sure, but I will join you only at midnight, not earlier. Is it okay? I asked. I will come to pick you up, he said joyfully. Fine then, see you tonight. He left with a kiss on my forehead. Disobeying my father was not something I would feel proud. All I wanted was to teach him a lesson so that he could understand my pain. People never know how much they can hurt someone until the same things happen to them. Not even a pinch of guilt took over my heart. Still, in my own reflection, a hand touched my shoulder, and a female voiced out to me, "Hey, bitch." A girl with emerald green eyes. Her golden hair was thick with just the appropriate hint of curls. The authentic Barbie stood in front of me, with a huge smile revealing her flawless white teeth. She was Amanda, my childhood friend. Her parents left for Amsterdam last year. She refused to live with them. As a result, she is living alone. "Hey," I said. "Were you daydreaming?" she asked. "Oh, I was just thinking about my dad's face after discovering my insolence." I grinned. "What are you plotting?" she demanded. "To attend a party at Troy's place," I replied. "Listen, Lisa, it's not that I dislike Troy, but you dated this guy like for only a few months. You don't even know him properly. And who the hell started a party at midnight?" she inquired. "To get even with my father," I snapped back. "Then why don't you come to my place instead?" suggested Amanda. "No, I will be fine with Troy. I trust him," I maintained. Amanda crossed her arms, ready for an argument. But the ringing of the bell became my savior, announcing the start of classes. Taking advantage of the situation, I kissed my doll on the cheek and ran to join my class. I pushed a sign of relief. The Barbie doll could have easily turned out to be a Chucky doll. 11:30 p.m. Dressed up in a reddish dress, fabricated of soft, silken fabric below my knees. I completed my stylish look with matching red heels, light makeup, and combed my hair into a ponytail. I lay on the bed, feeling guilty, not for deceiving my dad, but for ignoring Amanda. She called me at least 20 times, and I kept on declining her calls. Neither did I speak to my father nor to Amanda since our last discussion this morning. When the clock turns 12, I heard the front gate opened and closed behind. That's my father, playing the mysterious man again. Troy must not be too far. I got up and made my way outside the house. Few minutes passed by when the LED headlight of Troy's car illuminated me. He did not care to get out of the car to greet me, and I minded neither. I jumped in the front seat. I waited for him to say something. but only his eyes were communicating with my body. He fixed me from head to toes. Hi, Troy, I said. He did not answer me. His face was serious. Even the least curve of a smile was invisible on his lips. His malicious eyes moved away from my body to fix the road as he turned on the engine. Suddenly, the weather became as much weird as Troy. Thunder cracked in the air, undulating like the furies of gods. Lightnings cut crazy zigzag in the gloomy sky, following a strong and heavy rainfall. What was happening? Mixed feelings emerged me. My heart twisted with an urge to vomit. I did not want to go with Troy anymore, but it was too late to change my mind. The lightnings did not stop, making me uneasy. It might sound incense, but I was certain that it was following us. I was damn sure that the lightnings were cracking slowly on our path, because every time I shifted my head behind, there were no lightnings. Never did I experience such a phenomenon. I was still wondering if the lightnings were giving me warnings or it was just my imagination when Troy hit sharply on the brake. We were in front of his house. Even though I never went to any party, I knew perfectly how the atmosphere should be. Troy's place had any features of an ongoing party. No music, no noises, and no lightings. This place was dreadfully silent. Troy, why is it so quiet? I said. Don't worry, trust me, he reassured me. He parked in his garage, which composed of a door leading to the interior of his luxury mansion. My mind insisted to run away from that place, while my heart insisted to trust Troy. I pursued the path of my heart. Was it absurd or wise? I did not know. As soon as I stepped inside, I noticed 3 drunken men. I looked at Troy with puzzlement, struggling to hide my panic like a cluster of sparks plugged in my abdomen. Insecurity and panic kicked me. There was no party here at all. Why did my boyfriend lie to me? Maybe I should just run away from his awful place. Troy, I babbled. He anticipated my panic and placed a hand around my waistline to comfort me. However, his action was doing the exact opposite of what he intended to. His hands slid gradually down my butt, which left me both furious and uncomfortable. Without being rude, I grabbed his hand and removed it kindly from my body. Amanda was right. I did not know that guy. He was not the one who I thought I knew. All of his friends stood in front of me with their nasty smile. This is Adam, He pointed to a tall and pale complexioned man. Pimples covered his cheeks and forehead. He was so drunk that he could barely stand on his feet. Without my permission, he grabbed my hand and kissed it. His behavior was inadmissible. Such an ill-mannered bastard. But the most irritable thing was Troy's idiotic smile. He seemed to be all right with his friend misbehaving with me. The fault was not his. It was mine because I trusted him. Fabric, a short fellow with an immense belly, oval face, and slanting eyes, was the next one presented to me. He looked Asiatic. Unlike Adam, he simply said hello. Despite trying to make a good impression toward me, he was on my blacklist. I knew that behind his angel face was a hidden demon. Irritated as hell, I did not even take the pain to greet him back. He did not deserve my respect. None of those men deserve it, not even Troy. The last one was Christian. Black, tall, muscular, and tattooed arms till neck. He did not care if I was his body's girlfriend. He grabbed my waist and kissed me on the cheek. I boiled with rage and cursed him underneath. Troy's laughter grated me furthermore on my nerves. He showed none concern for me. Such a jerk. After tonight, he and I will be over for good. I vowed to myself, now it's time to party, Troy announced. He moved toward the kitchen and came back with one bottle of liquor. He poured some in a glass and tried to force me drinking it by pressing my jaw with his bony fingers. I wondered if he was playing the idiot of the year or his sense left him. He was so annoying that I had to make an extra effort not to punch him. No, I don't want your bloody alcohol, I yelled and pushed him away. Lisa, you are embarrassing me. Now drink. He treated me by jabbing his finger in front of my face. How dared him? Controlling myself became impossible. I raised my hands and whacked him harder than I could, which resulted in my fingerprint on his cheeks. He deserved it. I have enough. I'm going home, I yelled. Anger and humiliation boiled him. I did not care because he merited it. All I did was turning on my heels and headed toward the door, when Troy smacked me over my head with the flat of his hand. Both shocked and angry, I turned around to confront him. He was getting out of his limit. How dare you? I shrieked. You slapped me and shamed me. Now it's your turn to get play with. He grabbed my hand, twisted it with all his force, and flung me on the sofa. Adrenaline grew into my organism. Unable to breathe or to move, I remained paralyzed, and tried figuring out what is going on. My mouth felt wide open. I gazed at Troy with both disgusted and feared. What did he mean that it's my turn to get play with? What do you mean? I murmured. He did not answer. He did not blink. He just stared into my eyes and yelled, "Boys, let's have fun with this poor lady over here." Sweat and throbbing drenched my skin. The surrounding laughter of the boys vibrated in my eardrums, and the flutter of my heart against my chest made me even more miserable. I got up from the seat and examined the living room for an escape plan. My evil boyfriend stood in front of the main door, which illuminated my main escapeway. I spun around myself to detect a backup path when my eyes met a chamber's open door, just in face of me. I sprinted to reach the bedroom, but ended up collapsing and slumped down, cursing myself for wearing heels. I struggled to get up on my feet when that pimpled face, Adam, grasped me and pinned me down on the floor. I screamed at the top of my voice, kicking and slapping him. Troy approached me, lay down on the floor, rubbed my pale cheeks, and put my hair behind my ears. "Where were you going, love?" he whispered. "Trying to escape? Forget about it. Even God cannot save you from me." He proceeded with his maniac laughter. He sounded like the son of the devil. "Please, leave me. Let me go," I beseeched. Troy put a finger on his lips as if determining whether to release me or not. He kept on making his outrageous act before finally opened his mouth to announce his decision. "Beg me to let you go," he answered. "Please, Troy, let me go." I pleaded with tears. "Fine, Adam, get off her," he instructed. Adam gazed at Troy with bewilderment and disappointment, then obeyed like a pup, both relieved and gratified. I got up from the floor. However, my freedom expired just after one step taken. The devil grabbed my hands again. "Where are you going again, love? Now you are hurting me because you always try to leave me behind," he teased. "You just agreed to let me go," I burst. "No, love. I told Adam to leave you because you are my girl. I need to rape you first, right?" He smirked. "No, please, I implore you." I kneeled over my knees in front of his leg. He kicked me and leaned over my body. His 3 monstrous friends came to help him by seizing my hands and feet. Unable to move, I heard the tearing of fabrics and I stared with horror at Troy. He threw away my torn red dress, naked and defenseless. I prayed for a miracle to take place. "Troy, I was about to solicit him further, but he pressed his hand over my mouth and plunged inside me with force. Tore, ripped, and bleeding. I closed my eyes and opened it several times, hoping that this was just a nightmare, but it was the mere dark reality. I was in agony, screaming and pleading all the time, but nobody heard me. Nobody saved me. Once his lust satisfied, he gestured to Christian to free my right arm. I thought the nightmare was over, but I was dead wrong. The worst was yet to come. His gesture only meant that it was now the turn of Christian to abuse me. They wrapped me one after another, did everything they wanted to do with me, along with their insults. The torture ended after one long hour. They freed my hands and feet, but their fingers marked, stamped on my body. I wanted to run away again, but I was so torn inside that walking was impossible. I dragged myself on the floor to flee away. Seeing my pain, they laughed even more. My agony enjoyed them. "Lisa, baby, you want to leave again?" the devil asked by grabbing my hands again. "I want to go home," I pleaded. "How can I let you go? I have a career, you know. Letting you go will wreck everything." "What? No, please. I will not say a word to anyone." I tried to persuade him. He pushed aside, stepped closer with a small dagger in his hand. Its blade looks like the sharpest knife. I shook like a leaf on the ground. I was so petrified that I peed on the floor. He hugged me and murmured into my ears, "Goodbye, love." And then his knife met my flesh, soft, plump, and made a satisfying squish as the blade plunged deep enough to make my face change color from pale to crimson. He wrenched the blade in his hands and sinking it deeper and deeper each time. My skin tore. Furthermore, as the knife rotated, the sound of my tissues and nerves being pierced amused him and excited him to stab me even more until I fell down on the floor. Blood split from my body. Nevertheless, I was still alive when I heard Troy ordering his friends to carry me into his car. I was too weak to resist, too miserable, and the game was over. Anyway, I lost while the evils won. Unable to open my eyes, I heard the vroom sound of an engine. They were driving me somewhere. I managed to semi-open my eyes, but obscurity prevented me from identifying where I was. Maybe they threw me inside the trunk. They stopped a few miles away. Someone opened the trunk, yanked me out, and dragged me on the highway to an unknown destination. During the way, Things were scratching my skin. Maybe branches or thorns. Being conscious and unable to react or to see things were far worse than death. Adam gouged out a hole large enough to entomb her. I listened to the voice of the ones that once meant the world to me. That's their plans, to bury me alive after using me like a piece of meat. The sound of the shovel while digging the soil pierced through my ears like the echo of death. Today would be my end, deceived by my loved one. Would I ever get justice? Did I deserve this kind of death? It did not take longer than 5 minutes when a huge arm like those of Christian lifted me up and flung me into a hole which I assumed was my grave. "Would you bitch?" said Christian. He spat his salvia on me and I was unable to defend myself. Soil covered my body. Darkness invaded me. My breath ebbed and my heart gradually stopped pumping blood. I died with unfinished business, by neither getting justice nor having the chance to apologize to both my father and Amanda. Goodbye, Barbara Sword. Point of view, Professor David. Darkness overshadowed the morning sky. The sun hid behind the grayness clouds without granting us even its slight trace. The weather clearly indicated heavy rainfall during the day. On my way home, after performing my duty towards death, the only mission for the day was to make peace with Lisa. I will devote the entire day with my daughter, I mumbled to myself. I felt like an armored armadillo retracting into its shell as I got inside my warm little house. The burdens of the world disappeared. This is the only place where I can permit myself to be a normal human being and not a ghost whisperer. To anyone else, this is just a small and wretched house. But for me, it is a holiness, it is soothing, it is rest. However, something was unusual. My little angry bird was not in the living room, frowning her forehead towards me. Was she still mad at me? "Lisa!" I shouted. Nobody responded. The only sound in the house apart from mine was the buzzing of mosquitoes. It's as if talking with my walls and lingering for an answer. Lisa can be really stubborn when she wanted. Nevertheless, ignoring me was not her behavior. "Lisa, darling, where are you?" I kept on screaming. She was nowhere to be found. I checked everywhere, in her room, bathroom, and every corner of the house. The cooling of the house turned my blood cold. The bad thoughts looped around in my mind until there was no room for anything else. Where can she be? Did she leave for college? I called on her mobile phone, but the irritating woman kept on saying that her phone was unreachable. Staying there and kept on worrying about Lisa was a waste of time. I needed to act on the spot. Maybe she left earlier for college. I rushed through the door to go verifying if my supposition was right or not. Deep inside my soul, I knew I was wrong. Because even in the most outrageous rage, she would wait for me before leaving. The rusted gate made a shrill noise as I closed it behind me. "Mr. David," a female's voice called behind me. Irritated as hell, I spun to see who it was. Chatting was the last thing I wished for. All that I wanted was to find my daughter. The little girl behind me was both breathless and reckless. Her apparition here was not that bad after all, because she was Lisa's best friend. Maybe she knew something. I could see her panic. Her eyes were full of guilt and shame. She definitely knew something. "Amanda, do you know where Lisa is?" I urged. Unable to face me, she bent down her head. She crossed her arms while her neck became red. Something embarrassed her. The way she was acting said it all. With damp eyes, she rubbed her throat as if gathering the courage to tell me something. Something that would probably make me mad as hell. "So, she's not home yet?" she asked. "What do you mean by she's not home yet?" I snapped back. My voice rose into a harsh tone, eyes still facing the ground. Amanda burst into tears. Guilt overwhelmed me. My attitude was due to stress. She did not deserve to be treated in such a way. All I was doing was scaring her. I needed her help, not to freak her out. "Listen, Amanda, I apologize for my behavior. But if you know something, please tell me." I placed a hand on her shoulder to encourage her confessing. "I told her not to go," she shrieked. Where? Where did my daughter go?" I probed. "She left with Troy last night to get even with you." I pleaded with her to change her mind and come to my place instead, but she declined my proposition. I called her, I don't know how many times, but not even once did she pick up the call. I made my way to your house with the intention to see her safe and sound. She sat on the pavement as if disappointed about her shattering hope. My ears could not believe Amanda's word. How could Lisa do this? I never felt so much rage before as I'm going through right now. I told her so many times about the reasons for my disappearance at night and instructed her well enough about the danger of the night. Being a ghost whisperer, I knew things better than any human being. I was not a fool to prevent her from stepping out at night. All that I wanted was to protect her from evils like Troy's. "Where does he live?" I inquired with acrimony. "I can take you there." She jumped back on her feet with the determination to help. As fast as lightning, we took a cab and headed toward Troy's house. After a long, reckless road, the driver deposited us in front of a gigantic custom iron gate, about 10 feet tall, forged with the emblem of two swords. The ultimate purpose of the gate was to safeguard the entrance from strangers to the inside of the purchased white mansion, which was approximately 8,000 square feet. The architecture of the windows and door were flawless and splendid. Everything was geometrical. The house was built in the middle of an immense, colorful garden, composing of a koi pond just beneath a medieval fountain, a garage just next to the house itself, big enough to store 5 machines. Next to the gate were a video doorbell. I pressed the button, which would allow me to communicate from the inside. "Let me in," I hollered. Nobody spoke back. Troy must be a spoiled brat. But I'm not leaving from here without my daughter. Being ignored by the imbecile poisoned the ear of my daughter to disobey me. Escalated the degree of my fury. I was so frenzied that I felt my ears becoming red and hot. The only thing missing were smoke getting out of it. I booted the gate with all my force, and to my amazement, it opened, making a creaky sound. Either someone opened it from the inside or it was never locked. Amanda and I walked around the pathway which led to the white mansion. I pounded on the door and demanded to be let in. I knocked louder and harder each time, like a beast, until that narcissistic guy opened the entrance, wearing nothing than just a short. He looked like the devil. I can recognize one when I see one. After all, I'm a ghost whisperer. Looking at his face made my blood steaming. My hand raised unintentionally and slapped his mockery face. He stared at me with astonishment, then gazed at me with violence. "Where is my daughter?" I shouted on top of my lungs. In his arrogant triumph, he smirked, knowing exactly what I was referring to. Still, he played the fool with me. Seeing the pain of others amused him after all. In front of him, I was just an ordinary man. If only he knew who I was, his arrogance would vanish into the air. I can assassinate him or drive him crazy by using my ghosts. But he was lucky enough that I do not misuse my power. "Hey, old man, who are you? And who the hell is your daughter?" he asked arrogantly. "Young Maren, where is Lisa? I know she joined you last night," snapped Amanda. "Oh, that little girl of you," he laughed hysterically, then whispered in my ears, "Old man, I do not know where she is, and I don't give a fuck either." "Screw you, move!" I shoved him and infiltrated the house. "Lisa, where are you?" Both Amanda and I shouted out. We separated our ways to look for her. I took the ground floor while Amanda picked up the second floor. The ground floor comprised of a luxurious and spacious living room. All the furniture was off-white against a rich dark. On the wooden floor were an extensive fireplace, chandelier, and a tall ceiling. The contemporary of the kitchen were of Petra grind stone wall and rich wood paneling matching the cabinetry. The gallery featured a marble countertop, raised wood dining surface, and a bar full of liquor. There were 2 chambers downstairs, a gym one and a gracious guest room, where 3 men were snoozing. Lisa was nowhere. Maybe Amanda found her upstairs, but my hope vanished when she came back shaking her head. I walked face to face near Troy and warned, "Troy, you will tell me where is Lisa, or the consequence will not be good." "Old man," he chuckled, "do you know who I am? My mother is the best advocate in this city. What are you going to do, huh? File a case against me? Oh, look how afraid I am," he mocked. "And I'm sure that you do not want to know me, Troy. I will find her with or without your cooperation. And if I discover that you hurt her, let alone your parents, even the master of the universe will fail to protect you from me." We left his house with the belief that the police might come to help. We went to the nearest police station by foot, without considering Troy's taunt. We got inside the station like crazy people. We kept on looking left and right to see who can help us. I ran desperately near the first officer that I noticed. It was a shame for a ghost whisperer to depend on a human being to seek help, despite I was craving to find back my daughter. I did not want to deceive the gods. "Hello, I'm Inspector Stewart. How can I help you?" the policeman asked by shifting his gaze from his paper to us. I took the chair and narrated him about my problem. He picked up his pen to write my statement. He was taking everything seriously when one question of him changed everything. "Give me the full name of the boy," he requested. "Troy Pedersen," Amanda said. His brown eyes widened. "The son of Elizabeth Pedersen?" he asked. "Yes," Amanda returned. He wavered, put down his pen, and spoke again. "We cannot file a missing case before 24 hours pass by." But I needed to argue back, but he cut me off. "Get out of here right now, or I will use force to kick you out," he threatened. "So that's the oath you took while becoming a law enforcement, right? To support the wealthy even if they are wrongdoers, and let the poor people stay miserable. It's because of humans like you that people like me are created. You see, Inspector, if you were willing to help me, I would not have to do things in my way." I answered both smoothly and disheartened. "Is that a warning?" His tone raised. Ignoring him, I seized the hands of Amanda and left the police station. I know exactly what to do now. Sometimes circumstances compel you to become the person you never intend to become. They wanted to challenge a ghost whisperer. Challenge accepted. I accompanied Amanda back to her house. She insisted to remain by my side, but I declined her company. Instead, I went to grieve on my fate in front of my deceived spouse photo. There was no way that I would lose another member of my family. I will get my daughter back, no matter what it will cost me. By the time midnight fell and encompassed the city into ultimate obscurity, I scampered down the road towards the cemetery, my shoes clattering on the pavement, making echoes into the utter silence of the lane. Circumstance left me with only one option. Tonight, instead of helping the dead, I will seek their help. A soul can locate any human beings or another ghost with just a snap of second. The moment I tiptoed inside the burial ground, clusters of ghosts bumped into the night, each one looking at me as if I was their liberator. I perceived their pleading, but today the role will be reversed. With a sharp and rigid tone, I called out, "I know that all of you are here to solicit my service, to take care of your unfinished businesses. Never did I fail to help you. Never did I exploit you. But today, I need your help. Who can help me?" I asked pathetically. I despise myself for surrounding so helpless. But all that mattered was Lisa. Most of the spirits rubberneced at me, because since the beginning of history, ghost whisperers are known to control ghost formations, not to implore them for help. My principles and values were above everything else. Nobody deserved to be used like mere objects, not even the lifeless. Ghost whispers are a blessing from gods. Categorizes such holiness would be a shame. Nobody moved forward to help me. I did not want to get recourse to my power. I wanted them to help me on their own. "How I help you?" said a hissing voice. A man strode from obscuration, barely perceptible by views. Only his crimson eyes were discernible. Ghost visions could be seen by the color of their eyes. White, which means that their only unfinished business is neutral, things like saying goodbye to someone. Red means revenge, and black belongs to those ghosts who stuck too much in this world and are losing all of their humanity. The shadow popped up by my side. He wanted to speak, but his lips were sealed. His crimson eyes were so stupefying that I could not avoid staring. Suddenly, voices popped inside my head. Thanks for staying till the end. Please subscribe to more stories.